right, welcome back to the program. Dr. Tokpa Fashua is joining me right now. He's the Chief Executive Officer of Global Analytics, and he's here with me. We're looking at the economics of 2023 elections. Dr. Fashua, welcome to the show. It's been a while.
Thank you very much. Thanks for inviting me.
Okay, where do we start from? I haven't spoken to you in a while.
Yes, you know.
Really?
For reasons best known to you. I hope it's not political, though. That better not be.
No. Yeah. Of course, it's economy and politics, isn't it? And
yes.
That's also what we're looking at today. For me, it's about being factual. It's about statistics, and it's about, you know, is it that black or white?
Yeah.
It's not, you know, there are no shenanigans about it here. Okay, let's get started. Let me have your view on what's happening about the Nigerian economy. I've heard so much, at least in the last couple of days, from those that are in this administration about the last 7.5 years or so. And when they are trying to defend the last 7.5 years, they go back to the last 16 years. And for me, as even someone that is on this beat for a very long time, I get so upset and angry when they talk about these things, because you are blaming 16 years of PDP, and you've had about close to 8 years, and you were elected on that. So I really can't place my head. You know, it's not, I try as much as possible to be apolitical and not partial, but what this administration and those around the APC, what they've been saying in the last few days, I think they just need to check themselves out. It's not just give us the good side you've done. What actually do you think? Well,
I mean, it's, when you, truth is so easy to say. When you're saying the truth is so easy, it comes out so easy and all. And apart from that, you know, I pity those who are saddled with selling the bad products. However, I also think that they should be more intelligent. I mean, it's not every time we'll be saddled with selling very good products, right? When you have a bad product to sell and you must sell, then you have to deploy all the intelligence you can find. You can't hack back to start blaming Jonathan. Everybody knows that Buhari had 8 clear years to make all the difference it could make. You know, the thing about it is also that oftentimes 8 years goes so quickly. Okay, so you do the first 4 years, and they tell you that, look, this is not going right. So, okay, just give me another 4 years and I'll fix everything. And then the 4 years goes.
You were blaming the last
exactly.
8 years.
Maybe in the first 4 years you could actually say, oh, what had happened in the past. But you're giving 8 clear years, another 4 years, and it gets even worse. I don't know what happened, but part of what I think happened was some sort of insularity and some sort of, you know, I knew that when Buhari came those days, in 2015, I couldn't knew that this was going to be a disaster, really, because every time he was challenged about what was going on with the people and everything, he shot back as well. He shot back. Am I the one that started the problem? Well, this is not what we voted for, you know, and of course that led me to forming a party with a few guys that are running against him. It was the best I could do in a very helpless situation, you know. So there's absolutely nothing to defend about what's on ground. Listen, Nancy, we went into a depression, into a recession when Buhari came in 1984. We've gone into 2 recessions in the last 7 years. We may go into another recession. Yeah. He oughtn't have dared to come to become president of this country. I mean, I don't know how to say it, because he probably had no idea what he wanted to do, or I don't know what the case was. But, I mean, but we find ourselves, so luckily for me, I'm not a spokesman. I think most people would have done better. But that insularity, and we thought that we would have an anti-corruption government, an anti-corruption government, and a security-focused government. You know, even if we had just those 2, even if the economy was not moving well, or even if happenings on the global level resulted in economic problems for us, we would have understood. But the corruption has not been solved. The frugality was not brought to bear. I mean, we're still talking about buying jeeps for some people in Nigeria. If it was even about security, must you buy cars worth 140 million naira each? I mean, you could buy 10 cars for patrol with the money for one of them. And Nigeria is more secure than Nigeria as we speak. That means that those guys have been allowing all sorts of people come here. I was watching a clip yesterday, some guy from Mali, a young boy from Mali. Nigeria has become a dumping ground.
How do you just allow
Nigeria
people?
has become a dumping ground for every, you know, every debris, every detritus from the whole of West Africa and even beyond under this government. Now, what that tells you one thing, that there's something about Nigeria that's very attractive. Even when you ask me about things like Boko Haram, for me, I think it's a false flag operation from get-go. It's false flag, and part of it is to take over farmland, destabilize the country, and make sure that we never get our act right. So whoever is coming next as the president should also have some of these things in mind. You know, there's more to it than you see.
Okay.
And Nigeria is a prized, you know, kind of a prized possession. And, you know, I believe there are people around the world who don't want this country to succeed.
People around the world.
Yeah, forces and all sorts. Call it principalities and power, you know, whatever it is. Part of it is economic in nature, and part of the idea is also strategic in nature. And even those who criticize must understand that it's not a walk in the park. It's not so easy. Those of us who criticize can talk and talk, but when you get there, it's different.
Why is that theory right now in the public space that there are some people or there's some countries that do not want us to succeed? What's so
I think it's always been
about
there.
Nigeria? But are you not going to be giving the bad leadership we've had over the last couple of years an excuse because of that? Even if someone doesn't want you to succeed, you can in your own way.
You can.
You can. Insecurity, is it
the
the
first thing you have to do,
fixing insecurity, or what is befalling our economy, or the high borrowing cost, or buying cars for people in Niger, or what exactly?
So we're saying that.
What exactly?
Do
you need a foreigner to fix that?
They want to roast you. You use palm oil to rub your body. It makes it easier. I'm not saying for a fact that that's what's happening.
Are they responsible for what is happening now? That's what I'm saying.
I'm just saying that. Listen, you know, you have to understand that the strategy in governance. There's also a global strategy. And in fact, the game of international trade, including international relations, sometimes it's a minus-sum game. It's a zero-sum game. In countries, what you gain, I lose. What I lose, you gain. You know, and Nigeria, you know, you guys are very, are very gregarious and all of that. You think that the world's going to fall at your feet.
Dr. Fashola, you should know that I understand what you're talking about.
Okay, great stuff.
Because when you're even talking about the national economy or whatever, it also plays a role in the global. I understand what you're saying totally.
Yeah.
But what I am asking is that, are we now going to say that all our problems, like the way we are saying that our food prices, so everything, Russia, Ukraine, before Russia, Ukraine, we had our own
Nancy,
issues.
let me tell you. So in economics, okay, there's a difference between economics and pure sciences. When we form our own models in economics, we always qualify it. So you have a y is equal to alpha plus beta x plus mu or plus e, the error term. And in order to form a good model that can explain what you're trying to explain, you are encouraged to broaden out your variables. So you're not going to have only beta 1, beta 2, up to beta xn. Everything you can bring in, okay, into the equation you have to. So this is one, okay, but it's an important one. But when you talk about people, you're in trouble already. You went and bought cars of 140 million each, 10 of them, you say you're giving. They are going to give those cars to some big men in Niger. They'll be riding around. And we've been sponsoring Niger for God knows when, equally charged. Here we are, the people cannot even feed. Our people are facing inflation of 200% on bread, 400% on rice. And you can just do anything you want. I mean, but luckily, you know what? I'm not the spokesman of this government. They should carry their can. For those of those spokesmen, we're also part of those people who encouraged this Buhari to miss his way from get-go. They were hailing him. And I remember those days I used to complain. All they did was take pictures. He's walking away, they take pictures. He's coming, they take pictures. He's eating, he's picking his teeth, they're taking pictures. And I said, look, if you want to have a serious person in government, you wouldn't have all these cameras around you. There's work to be done.
Okay.
But I think we missed it. Again, unfortunately.
What issues do you think will shape the 2023 elections? Because campaigns start soon.
You want to hear?
I want to hear just in a few minutes.
That will shape is sentiment, tribe, religion.
Really?
Yeah.
Not those. Why? I thought you were going to talk about insecurity, economy,
and Nigerian youths cannot even. They are so, maybe they're impatient. Yeah. Sometimes I'll give it to them. Of course, some of them have suffered. Not all, Some are spoiled as well, quite spoiled.
Many have suffered.
Some have suffered, many have suffered. Yeah, but many are spoiled as well, to the extent that they don't know. Even the abroad they are running to is not easy. You know what I'm saying? If you compare the two economies, the kind of economies here, here you can blow overnight. Abroad, you join the queue, and many times, so you can't afford to be naive anymore. Okay, so but most of them cannot process. You know, I just gave you a kind of economic equation now, what we call our own model. You know, the scientists will say y is equal to alpha plus beta x QED, full stop. You know, that when you test this thing over time, you get the same result. Economists will say, no, there's an error term because human beings are involved. And human beings, you cannot predict their behaviors entirely. Now, we are saddled, the 2030 election is a very complicated equation. So you must look at number one, okay, issues of, yeah, fitness, yes, okay, but fitness is not everything. Experience, what about experience? Yes, experience is not everything. You look at experience in terms of, is it good experience or bad experience? Does the person have the kind of experience required? What has the person managed before? You know, okay, we look at even the international clouds and local clouds of that person. So you're talking about looking at so many issues. You look at their understanding of the economy and what they've done before regarding the economy. All of that you have to look. You look at economic ideology. So, for example, I'll give you, you know, we always talk about the big three, but I always remind people there are not just three people. There are people, there's a guy in SDP, another in ADC, there's one in ADP, you know. But one of the so-called big three, one of them is decidedly a capitalist. He said, look, I'm all about capitalism. I'm all about market forces. Then someone like me, I'll be thinking, okay, will market forces solve our problem? Okay? Another one is very good with the expenditure side of the balance sheet. So we must cut down. Yes, makes a solid point in terms of cutting down expenditure.
Okay, Dr. Sokpa,
what about the other side of the economy?
Let's call for a break, and when we return, we'll continue this conversation on the big three, which you've talked about. Let's go on a break. We'll be right back.
Do you want to live your life financially free? Do you want to take your business to the next level and succeed? Then the time is now.
Moneyline with Nancy on AIT presents
the Personal and Business Acceleration Masterclass, a live conference geared at revealing top secrets by elite business experts and life coaches in Nigeria on ways to improve yourself, business, and create wealth. Date, Saturday 17 September 2022. Venue, Nigerian Export Promotion Council, Plot 424, Agunyi Ronsi Street, Maitama, Abuja. Time, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. To register, visit www.moneylinewithnancy.com/pabam.
For more inquiries and sponsorships, contact 0814-833-9088 or 0906-691-2600 and info at moneylinewithnancy.com. Don't miss this opportunity to greatness.
Yeah. There is. Dodoma is, I think, the new one.
Yeah. All right, welcome back. We're actually talking about Tanzania having two capitals before they came back to us. Now, you're talking about the big three. You said the first one, capitalism.
No.
In terms of the ideology.
Yes.
In terms of what the semblance of what we're seeing. Yeah. I will do another show on dissecting all the economic plans.
That's the most important thing that people should be thinking about. But most Nigerians don't have the patience and sometimes, if you like, the wherewithal to deal with those things. You should be thinking of that if this guy gets there, how does he think? Economically, it's still about the economy and, of course, security. So I think Nigeria's problem has boiled down to two things: security, economy. Without security, you can't have the economy. But even if you could tackle security, what do you do with the economy? Okay? So one of them thinks capitalism, thinks market forces. I say, well, you know, from my own angle in economics, you know, I think that, you know, we have too many poor people to subject them to market forces. You've got to have a blend. I'm more of a social capitalist kind of person.
So like a mixed
the other gent. A mix, yes, kind of thing. Yeah, you have, look, we need responsibility in governance.
But that's actually what's happening now.
No.
We have a bit of mix.
If you did
the social aspect in terms of the welfareism, government providing CCT and all those interventions.
They were forced to do some of this, maybe because of COVID and so on. But if you look at that kind of economy, they won't spend
they were not for CCT has been existing before COVID.
They won't spend all of that just to make to benefit another country. They'll be thinking about. I mean, you've not seen the kind of social mobilization that is required when you are running such a government. For PM, this Nigerian lady, what's her name now? Badenoch, Kemi Badenoch, was talking about how she doesn't like social dole in this country. They've been queuing for dole in the UK for too long. Where are our council houses? Have you ever heard about council houses in Nigeria where the local council will pay your rent and house you because you're broke? You know, where's that? You know, so they have more of those kind of things in those places than we do here. So the third gentleman, so the second gentleman is a bit social capitalist. You know, I won't mention any name here. He thinks in terms of balancing it more on the side of the poor. The third guy actually thinks in terms of, most of his talk has been about the expenditure side of the balance sheet. So he talks about cutting costs, which is great and which was taken on board. That kind of person will not spend 1.4 billion, okay, on this kind of car. I mean, car thing that they've just done. But there are other guys as well. The guy in SDP also, the guy is quite focused and he has a very robust agenda for the country. You know, the guy in ADC too, young guy, you know, as well. The guy in ADP, who ran in 2019, is focused very much on the oil sector, because I think he's been in the oil sector as well. However, you know, for someone like that, you probably will say, you know what, yes, we know that the crude oil sector is not going to disappear so soon, but why must you focus so holistically on the oil sector? What about the other parts of the economy? So, but all of this is just academic. What will determine the presidency will be the political strategy that each of them has on ground to get the numbers of votes that's required to win. And of course, some of that's going to be driven by religion, tribalism, and sentiment.
Okay, I don't want to go into
because that's what the majority of Nigerians understand.
Okay, about the question of money politics in 2023, because when I was taking a look at our elections, 2019 was the most expensive elections that we had in terms of what INEC spent and all of that. And it's also been is now anticipated that 2023 will be the costliest election that we've ever had.
But you may not be able to say.
That's of course.
For example,
inflation has also crept in, Dr. Fasha, so you should take note of that. And some other innovations that INEC, BVAS, and all of that. So it's going to be more expensive than 189 billion. But that's one side. How about the role of money in 2023 elections, even beyond what I've just spoken about concerning INEC?
Politics is always
expensive. Do you think that Nigerians will take the money if they are being offered and vote their conscience? You see, and vote their conscience?
Forget
just
it.
Like we saw, like
I don't see a lot of conscience around, you know. The bottom line is, you know...
Are you underestimating Nigerians now? The way...
Nigerians haven't changed. You
on
guys,
the way to 2023
you haven't brought new people from Mars. And look, forget social media, okay? The crowd on social media, and of course, there's some buzz going on there, and you can find people who vote their consciences on social media. But you see, we think that Nigeria is all about Lagos and Abuja and Port Harcourt and so on. You know, when you move people who, you know, I ran in 2019, and, you know, when you actually make the effort to go into the interland, to actually try and see Nigerians, you realize that it's a different ballgame altogether. Where those are our uncles and nephews that we forgot in the villages who are driving Okada up and down. Forget about what conscience are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? So for them, on that day, is a good day for them to make the 5,000 naira. Some of them even try to vote in different places. So the technology that INEC has brought must be able to hold up in order for us to see something better this time around. You know, now they've even made it a bit more difficult for people to vote and get paid and all of that. But the politicians are also devising new ways of doing that. And apart from that, there's also what's called party structure. And the structure of the party, really, is real. It's about the fact that, look, you know, there are offices, okay? The big two parties who have been funded by government for so long, they have offices in most local governments, in most wards. There are about 10,000 wards in this country. And in those wards, they have chairmen, they have secretary, and so on, and they have members, people who come for meetings. You know, they may be very old people, very poor people, farmers, and so on. That's the essence of the structure. Will the new rhetoric, okay, and the new, you know, the conscience thing you mentioned, will it be able to permeate to those levels before election day? It takes a lot of spending for that to happen. Even if you have a good message, okay, a good news in politics, you need money to propagate that good news and ensure that everybody hears that good news. And of course, you need also the power of repetition, because you're not going to speak to someone only once and have them change their mind. Sometimes you have to speak once, twice, 10 times, and keep repeating before the person starts to take notice. In marketing, you have at least to speak to someone 5 times on the average before things start to register. So that's the way it is. So, yeah, some will vote for conscience, but because the economic reality is even worse right now, most people will still vote for who is nice to them. Oh, that man is a nice man. Every time he comes here, they bring 2 noodles of rice. And that matters to that person, you know, because, again, the economy is much in a worse situation.
Let's take a look at the recommendations that governors came up with to rescue Nigeria's economy. And for me, it was quite interesting. I said,
interesting, yes.
Interesting in the sense that just a few months to the end of this administration, are governors thinking, oh, why are they coming out at this time? Is it because it's also going to it's already hurting them? NNPC is not bringing so much funds. We are not producing so much oil, so the funds are not. This is
Most of them are jokers.
It's just, you know, this is a time where we should have gotten so much money from the sale of oil. But this is the first time, actually, that oil prices are increasing and Nigeria is not making money.
They kill the industry.
You know, so let's take a look at
industry.
some of those recommendations by the governors. If we have them, we can put them on the screen so that our viewers can follow us very quickly. Number 1, eliminate PMS subsidies and under recovery. That will save about 6 to 7 trillion naira.
That's a joke. They can't even do that. How do you eliminate the PMS subsidies in one fell swoop? When you do that, the price of petroleum, which is 185 in some places today, will jump to 900 naira or 1,000. Then you'll have inflation, inflation of 300%.
So what is your solution?
And people on the streets.
Are you saying that the fuel subsidy should still remain, or what should be done? Should it be phased, or should the process be you know, looked at rigorously and be more transparent? Because people don't even understand
both things,
how it is right now.
For example, now, how much PMS do we consume in a day in Nigeria? As of June 2011, NNPC put the number at 90 million liters. But we've been hearing 42. I remember Ibe Kachiku, when he was defending himself in the Senate, when he was being confirmed in the Senate, you know, he was arguing that, look, when he gets there, he will do another check because he thinks it should be like 42 million and not the 60 million they were saying then. So regarding the numbers, you know, we are being befuddled. Nobody is sure what the number is. A lot of fraud is going on in that area. That's one thing. How do you solve that? We've not heard anybody being sanctioned for lying there. We've not heard anybody being caught for corruption in that sector. Buhari, the president, has papered over it. He doesn't care. No, okay, so that's one, you know, but, you know, you have to be careful. You can only face it out. You, of course, ensure transparency in that sector. Deal with people clearly. Show the world that, look, you're ready to sanction people who are, you know, because human beings must be there one way or the other, but what role are they playing? When they see in life, when they see that there's no repercussion to something, people will do it all day. Now, and that's what's going on.
What Labour thinks, I've spoken to Labour on many occasions concerning this, and Labour is of the view that fuel subsidy can still remain only if they check the structure, audit that structure, that it may not even be up to trillions of naira that we're talking about.
Exactly, that's part of that's exactly what we're saying here now, because, you know, is it 40 million, is it 30 million? In fact, when they talk about the so-called smuggling into other countries, the truth is that the entire thing that they say they smuggle, you know, the entire usage of Cameroon, Chad, Niger, and Republic of Benin, okay, is not as much. The entire usage is not as much as what they say they smuggle from Nigeria. Except we are now saying that they smuggle it from Cameroon and then goes to DR Congo. Now you're stretching the truth, you know, because that's not. So essentially what's going on is a lot of fraud in that sector. And labor is correct. If we could reduce it, maybe we're not supposed to be talking about 7 trillion. Maybe it's 1 trillion. Maybe it's
not even up to
remember that in 2011 under Minister Konjo-Iweala, the number was, in fact, the argument then was it 1.7 trillion? CBN came with 1.7 trillion. OAGF said it was 1.8 trillion. NNPC said it was 1.9 trillion. Everybody was bringing up.
And look at it. It was in the band of 300 billion, 400 billion, 500 billion.
Exactly. In those days, but now, I mean, that was then. Eventually, when Mrs. Okonjo-Iweala wrote her book, she said it was 2.3 trillion then. And we felt that, wow, this is crazy. Maybe inflation effect is part of this, but it's very unlikely to be this. However, what is clear is this. If you think about the repercussion of a sudden removal in subsidy, you're probably going to collapse the country. So let the governors get real. They are giving all these things out. If they were thinking earlier, they ought to have come up with some of these things that are workable. And in fact, this was given to Buhari in July. And as we speak today, nothing has been done.
Okay, let's take a look at
chances are that Buhari will not do anything about any of these things.
Let's take a look at, have you really given President Buhari, just let him just do and go?
Of course.
You don't trust
like yesterday.
that he can...
I don't. He can't do anything.
Attend to some of this.
I think he has lost interest in the country. Okay,
let's continue though. Discontinue Federation-funded NNPC project, 300 billion naira. That will save. Yeah. Limit the budgets for the Social Investment Program and National Poverty Reduction Growth Strategy to 200 billion naira. It will save 570 billion. Remove FAAC'S extra constitutional deductions. That will save 100 billion naira. Cut back on SWV products for SDGs and NASS constituency projects. That will save 300 billion naira.
Will the NASS agree with that? Will the NASS, so the governor says, cut down on NASS constituency project, 300 billion. Is the National Assembly going to agree? And many of these things they're saying are also a subject of new laws that needs to be made by the National Assembly. So they have only stated it, I'm sorry, from their own selfish perspective. And if you go ahead, you just see that they are asking for even the common man to be taxed and all of that. And what about they? What about they?
Because when I looked at it, too,
exactly.
They did not say anything about their own states.
They didn't. In terms
That's
of the point.
Security votes, in terms of also the cost of governance on their own.
That's our problem in this country. Everybody comes up with a position that justifies their own. I mean, there's a lot, they blame CBN and all of that. I saw all of that there, and so on. But what about the governors themselves? How well have they fared? How well have they managed the resources? They're the same ones. You run into governors with 40 cars in their convoy and all of that, making noise all over the place. They are lord and masters themselves. They do and undo. Now you want to be taxing people 100 naira.
Yeah,
now you're asking VAT to be taken to 10% with a view to taking it to 20%. Even the UK, which is perhaps the most taxed country in the world, they are still struggling without the VAT of 20%. How can they be suggesting such a thing?
Okay, Dr. Fasha, let's just run through it, then we discuss it. You are ahead of me now. I just wanted to take our views one by one. Number 7, reduce NASENI'S 1% grant to 0.2% grant. I guess that people in NASENI will not be happy because they were happy at the time that had been increased, so that, to encourage them. But they need to amend the Act and the 2022 Finance Bill to reflect that. Reduce personnel cost of federal government MGAs. What we now have on that, offer federal civil servants above 50 years a one-off retirement package to exit.
Will the governors that are above 50 retire too?
Okay.
They should go.
And
that's an obnoxious...
That will save 350 billion. So if you're saying here that
if you ask me.
Civil servants 50 years should go, so that means what you're saying is that we should not have a limit, an age limit. If 50 years can go to civil service, that means someone not above 50 should also occupy the presidency.
Absolutely, and all the governorship as well.
Okay, so employ lower cost, more ICT compliance youths and women. When I was reading this, I don't understand. Is it that women will be paid, employ more ICT compliance youths? Of course, when you bring technology into the space.
You picked up on that woman beat, right? This sexist, if you ask me.
No. Because
but it's true.
If you take a look at it.
When you read it and, it may come out to you like, okay, what are you trying to say? That women are cheaper to employ or what?
Yes, because it's like
but I think
ICT
they're just
compliance youths.
They're trying to sound
when you bring in technology,
balance.
it saves a lot of stuff. Then employ women. And we know that women all over the world, really, or most countries, do not earn the same thing that men earn when they do the same work.
And then think about Commonwealth Games and the fact that women got all the golds that we had. you know.
Congratulations
we
to
always
Toby
knew,
and
we
Co.
I probably must have said it here. We always knew that women were smarter than we men. Women are smarter, and are stronger in many ways. Only when it comes to lifting cement bags, you guys were smarter, were stronger than you guys. But you know, on a good day, yes, it's good to employ more women, but it doesn't come into that point really. If you want to,
so are you saying that I misread that, or that was also the way
it was couched, indeed. Looks like you're saying that women are cheaper to employ, which women will say, what do you mean by that? You know,
if I'm doing the same job as a man,
a woman will run a better ship. Absolutely.
That the man is
earning. Do you know that the women athletes are paid lower than male athletes?
I know that, even around the world.
Exactly.
I think even in the U.S. it's the same. You take a look at the basketballers in the U.S., the WNBA, they also
why should that be, you know? For
the same thing. Yeah. Anyway, let's continue. Begin implementation of the updated Stephen Oronsaye report. That will save $1 trillion. I cannot for the life of me remember. We've been on this Oronsaye report for years.
2011.
In fact, this administration, I think 2 years ago, did say, oh, we are going to review it so that we can cut.
They'll never do it. Why? Politics.
Okay.
Because in many of those places, they have their own people. Oronsaye, when Oronsaye report came out, it was 521 ministries and departments and agencies. As we speak today, we have more than 1,000 ministries, departments, and agencies. For every law that is passed in the National Assembly, one new agency or parastatal is created. And then they will employ, of course, himself. They employ new DGs, have new directors, buy new cars. They always buy, you know, the death of Nigeria is all of those jeeps that they're always buying for themselves. You know, and of course, see where we are today. Nothing will happen. This government is not serious. Maybe the next one can craftily, and the way you can implement that Oronsaye report without actually just throwing people onto the streets. There are ways you can cleverly, but everybody must understand that all of that showboating, all of that, you know, nonsense we've been doing with our civil service is over. Okay, expedite privatization of non-performing assets. They did not put a figure, but they said it will save billions of naira. You can imagine BP will come into this. 2023 to 2025 MTF to be revised and updated to reflect the above expenditure management measures and government commitment to restore fiscal discipline. Then plan to 2% increase in salaries in 2023 to be reconsidered. Okay, reduce the fiscal deficit to no more than 2% of GDP in 2023 to 2025. Foreign trips by MDAS, including budgetary independent agencies such as CBN, FAAC'S, and Co., to be put on hold for at least 1 year. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs not to submit visa requests to foreign embassies for FGN officials and their families unless the presidency approves that. Shift away from state income taxation and towards consumption taxation. With implementation of 3% federal income tax, state level PIT should be eliminated. Then state sales tax at a fixed rate of 10%. Okay, guys, I'm in number 17 because I see that my team is trying to... I'm moving too fast, yes, really, to follow me. Then number 18, state sales tax at a fixed rate of 10% should be implemented in all 36 states and the FCT. Number 19, raise VAT to 10%, which we were talking about earlier, with a target of 15 to 20% in the next few years. Number 20, ensure the reintroduction and passage of VAT into exclusive lists. So I can go on and on. So let's quickly discuss that now. Just in a few seconds, because we have to go now for a live broadcast. Okay, that's fine. You know, I mean, like we've made all the points that needs to be made. I think that they are coming with a sledgehammer now, the governors, but they haven't also looked inward to see. I mean, I thought they should be fronting what they are also going to contribute to this cuts in expenditure and all of that. Okay. And some of these things are, and also we need to see things like luxury tax in here. Okay, so you can't be talking of pursuing people with 30,000 naira when the big guys are still enjoying. Okay, just like the mansion tax that Okonjo-Iweala moved at that time. Yeah. Okay, I want to say thank you for joining us. At least for this last few minutes, we've been talking about the economics and politics of Nigeria. That's the economics of the politics. Let's quickly take you to Port Harcourt, where I will be having a commissioning ceremony from the River State capital.